Hey everyone. Today's gonna be a bit more of a fireside chat, we'll say. Haven't really done one of these in a while, but a lot of questions and comments I've been getting over the last few months since I've gone pretty well radio silent has surrounded over all these super duper flashy new TCGs. You've got your Flesh and Bloods, you've got your Dogomons, you've got your Zoinks, or all these new card games coming out of the woodwork, and everyone has gone into essentially a feeding frenzy on what's going to be the next big thing. What's going to stonk to the moon and make me all kinds of Dogecoin money, and it's actually just getting stupid how oversaturated the market is getting with all these new TCGs. When Flesh and Blood, came on the scene a couple of years ago, they were really one of a handful of these trading card game or collectible card games, whatever you want to term them, that were coming out as a new game that people were interested in, wanted to play and try, getting any traction. But now you've got, the new Digimon card game took off, the new Metazoo card game took off. D Spirits is looking like it's already stonking. Boxes are doing between $500 and $1,000 a fucking box. New games coming down the pipe like Polywog. That, full disclosure, I'm pumping whatever I can into because I just like the way the cards look. All these new up and coming games like Akora, Genesis, all these other ones, I can't even fucking keep them straight at this point. But they're all coming out of the woodwork trying to take a piece of the pie that's really boils down to the big three. You've got your Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic. You can argue over, Magic isn't what it used to be. Player base isn't there like it used to be. Wizards isn't giving the LGSs the support they need to keep going, and it's in a constant downward spiral. That's where Flesh and Blood's picking up the slack. But what a lot of people don't seem to realize is the fundamentals behind an actual, established trading card game like Pokemon, like we're talking about. Pokemon has an actual, multi-billion dollars with a B franchise behind it that's been around for, 2.5 decades at this point. Um, you've got the video games, you've got comics, you've got merchandise, you've got the trading card game, the TV show. It has all these different revenue options that even if one starts to flag, the rest of them are going to pick up the slack. And because they come out with new generations every few years, new games, new Pokemon, they always have new customers coming to market. That's one of the things I, as not only just a collector, but as an investor, want to look at. Is like, okay, what's the long term potential on this? What's the downside of risk? What's going to happen when people get sick of fucking Metazoo and realize, oh shit, there's nothing to this other than, the to the moon memes everyone talks about. And, 3 a.m. tweets about bringing back fucking Pogs. Like, there really isn't a lot of fundamentals behind it. And you've seen from, the Kickstarter and the Cryptid Nation release with Metazoo, they have absolutely been decimated in the price point. Yeah, you can argue, oh, well, Petty, the print run is much, much higher than it was originally. They only did 2,500 boxes for Kickstarter. And for Cryptid Nation first print, that was only 25,000. That's not a lot. Now for Nightfall, they did 50,000. So obviously prices are going to go down. No, well, Cryptid Nation boxes hit 1,000. Now Nightfall boxes are down to like 250, 200. I see people constantly selling them at. If you look at the singles price on Nightfall cards, I don't know if there's more than one or two cards that are worth more than $10. The cards in the box are essentially worthless. If you open a Nightfall box, you're gonna lose your shirt. But a lot of people don't seem to grasp that. They don't seem to grasp it. Yeah, oh, they're talks about doing a TV show and they have a comic and all this stuff. No, like Metazoo has made a bit of money. There's a talk of the town right now. Rudy doing all his fancy, investment Sasquatch and humpback Sasquatch cards, and all the Pokemon guys have been throwing money at it hand over fist, but there's nothing there. Like, other than the hype, there's nothing to substantiate Metazoo. Like, at least with Digimon, you've got an established franchise that's been around for as long as Pokemon. It's constantly putting out new series. Yeah, you can argue some of them are good, some of them are bad. Looking at you, Data Squad. But it's constantly getting put out to new generations of kids, and you still have all the kids from, my age group from the late 90s, early 2000s who were watching the original shows, who have a super, nostalgic reaction for Digimon, who, even if there's no new show or the new show is bad, they don't give a shit because, War Greymon / fucking Machine Dramon in half. And that's all they give a shit about. And if I'm looking at the long-term potential and, downside risk of Digimon TCG versus Metazoo, I don't give a shit what everyone on the internet thinks. I'm going to take the established franchise 9 chances out of 10. Something could come along and say, Big Daddy Hasbro could be looking for a Pokemon killer. They might buy out Metazoo and pump a shitload of money into them, say, we're doing an exclusive Netflix TV show. We got a fucking toy line coming out, and they're going to put all this marketing power behind it. Well, that's a different story. You can argue, okay, well, it's going to take a while for that to get established. We're not getting into that shit. But Digimon's already an established franchise. Pokemon's established. Dragon Ball's established. You've got Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, all these franchises that are already established, and they're, the bulk of the top 10 TCGs over the last year. And you've got the newcomers, like I said, like Flesh and Blood is doing extremely well. Metazoo is probably going to be in the top 10, even with their extremely limited print runs. Whenever the next numbers come out for 2021, that's fine and dandy. But I don't think the long-term, stability is going to be there for in 2 months' time, 4 months' time, 6 months' time, a year from now, when people are looking for that hot new thing. I don't think anyone's going to give a shit about Metazoo. I've been saying this for a while. This is really turning into the fuck Metazoo rant. But I think Metazoo is going to have 3 successful sets, and they're going to fall off a cliff, and no one's going to give a shit anymore, and everyone's going to be moved on to, D-Spirits, Poliwag, and whatever the fuck else comes out in a few months that everyone's going to try and pump and dump, and there's not going to be anything to keep Metazoo going. Like, any of these other TCGs that have, done really well initially and then fell off a cliff like Force of Will, I don't see the long-term potential and long-term growth with something like that. All I see is a, scary cliff we're probably going to fall off of, and everyone's going to lose a shit ton of money. Granted, that's just my opinion, but I've tended to have a pretty good spidey sense for this shit over the last few years, which has gotten me where I am at this point. So, take it for what it's worth. I will take an established franchise, like I said, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, any day over any of the new ones like Metazoo. Yeah, I'll buy a box or two to sit on. If it goes up, I'll cash in my free tendies. I mean, I bought Cryptid Nation boxes at like 120, sold them for 400 or 500. Woohoo, went to 1,000. I missed out on, an extra few $100 a box, but I have 4 or 5x my money already. What the hell do I give a shit? Like, at that point, it's just free money. I've locked in my profit. It could go to $2,000 a box. It could go to $20 a box. I don't give a shit. I've made money. So that's just my rant for the day for anyone who's been asking me about all these new TCGs and what the fuck I think is going to happen. Hey, what should I be investing in? What should I be throwing my money at? Where's it all going to go from here? And I don't have a time machine. I can't see into the future. But I know what's traditionally worked, and I know what's probably still going to be working 5, 10, 20 years from now. And there's a reason why there's really no original ideas anymore. Everything's a reboot when it comes to, movies and TV shows and things like that. People want to go with what's tried and true and tested. They don't want to take the risk. And there's a reason why all of those people are in a position where they have that kind of money to make those decisions, and why a lot of people who bet on penny stocks hoping they're going to go to $1, $2 a share generally lose their shirts. So that's my opinion. That's my rant for the day. Hope you learned something and have a good one.